Hello, Kim, who's running late, and Rick, welcome, and Louisa. As usual, we'll give it a minute or so. Hello, Karuna. All right, let's get started. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Apakate manuse suye jana paragamino attayang ittara pajjati rameva nudavati ye chako sammadakate dhamme dhamma nuvattino te jana parame santi machuddeyang suduttarang kanhang dhammang vipahaya sukhang bhaveta pandito oka anokang agamma viveke yatta duramang tatra bhiratimiccheya hitva kameya kinchano hariyotapeya tanang chikkale se pandito Ye sang sambodhi angesu sammachittang subhavitang adana patinisagge anupadaya ye rata kinasava juttimanto te loke parinibbuta. All right, English. Those who cross over. There are few among humans who go to the further shore. The rest of them run about here on this shore. But those well established in Dhamma, those who practice Dhamma, are among those who will cross over beyond the realm of death so difficult to escape. Abandoning the way of darkness, cultivating the bright, the wise go from home to homelessness, which for others is hard to enjoy. Desiring that rare delight, renouncing pleasure, owning nothing of defilements of the mind, the wise person should cleanse himself. Those whose minds are well established in the factors of enlightenment relinquish attachment and delight not in clinging. They, untainted and radiant in this very world, attain Nibbana. Hello, Gregory. Hello, Shay. All right, let's meditate. Close your eyes. Set your body up in whatever comfortable and stable position works for you. We'll start by doing a mindful scan of the body. No matter what your posture is, no matter how you're sitting, posture is important for long-term practice. Start by placing your focus and mindfulness on the feet, paying very deep and close attention to whatever feeling or sensation is arising in that part of the body. Such as the feeling of the feet pressing against the floor, the cushion, the opposite leg, etc. Move up through the ankles into the calves. Through the knees into the thighs. Up through to the hips and pelvis, paying close attention to the angle of the pelvis and how this impacts your posture in the lower and the upper body. When you're ready, move up the spine through the abdomen and the chest, checking that the spine is resting in its neutral position. Up through the shoulders, making sure they're hanging loosely, not scrunched up and tight. Down to the elbows and hands, observing how they also impact your posture. Then finally up to the head, checking that the head is also not leaning or slouching, chin parallel to the floor. When you're done setting up your body in a comfortable and stable position, let the body go. Take your 3 deep breaths. Then let the breath go. Remember to do your best to observe, investigate, and abide with the breath. Do your best to not try to control it or manipulate it. Let it do its job. And you observe. Remember to lay down your burdens. When you're distracted away, acknowledge, let go, and return. Come back. Always come back. Train the mind to stay with the breath. Now we'll switch over to doing some contemplations. We'll practice some sila nusati now, recollection of our good deeds. Open your mind to various memories of good deeds done in your past to arise. Thinking of various good deeds done, how doing those deeds made you feel, what happened because of doing them, how other people felt, the benefits of doing those deeds. Contemplate these aspects of good things that you've done. This is a good counterbalance to negativity, criticism, not to toot your own horn or inflate the ego. Buddha never taught miccha nusati, reflecting on your bad deeds, because this was not something you actively had to do. Your mind already did it. Not so often do we reflect on our good deeds. Continue sila nusati for the rest of the meditation. Slowly start to open your eyes, becoming aware of the room around you, your body's position in it, reflecting on the state of your mind before and after the meditation, and contemplating any experiences that stood out. Hello, friends who joined during the meditation, Visaka and Maria, and anybody else who didn't say hello in the chat. So, before we go into our sutta reading, is there any questions? Any questions to cover? We have up Majjhima Nikaya number 5 tonight, as we're going through the Majjhima. We've been doing that. That's been a Dhammapalooza tradition almost since the beginning. There's nothing just to read a sutta, but I think we're gonna, make that a regular thing. Just go one by one through the Majjhima Nikaya. Each Dhammapalooza is the next one. When you do Sila Nusati for an extended period, do we keep adding new things or abide dwelling on a single or handful of things? Well, that's up to you. The Buddha didn't give any specifics, in that regard. You're just contemplating your good deeds. After a bit, you ran out. It's okay. Then the practice is done, I guess. Or you can see if you can remember to contemplate a different angle of the experience that you didn't think of before. Maybe there's something you missed that you can bring up and contemplate. But it's really not, doesn't have to be that detailed, doesn't have to be that complicated. If nothing comes up, then nothing comes up. If you've covered everything that arises. I don't know that anybody does Sila Nusati practice for like an hour or anything. I think we did it for not even 10 minutes, something like that. All right. Let's read Majjhima Nikaya number 5. Unblemished. So have I heard. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. A beautiful place. There, Sariputta addressed the mendicants. Reverends, mendicants. I don't know, that's an interesting. Avuso Bhikkhave is like, maybe I guess like, brothers, bhikkhus. Reverends and mendicants is so clinical. Brothers, bhikkhus. Reverend, they replied. Brother, they replied. Sariputta said this. Reverends, these 4 people are found in the world. Those of you who've been around long enough, I love the 4 people suttas. There's many different types of four peoples. What for? One person with a blemish doesn't truly understand there is a blemish in me. But another person with a blemish does truly understand there is a blemish in me. One person without a blemish doesn't truly understand there's no blemish in me. Right? This is important. This is the same thing as Satipatthana. I talk about this fairly often when these topics come up. We have to understand just as much when something is not in you as when it is in you. Right? This is a person who doesn't understand there's no blemish. Right? They don't understand that there's no blemish in me. But another person without a blemish does truly understand there's no blemish in me. In this case of two people, two persons with a blemish, the one who doesn't understand is said to be worse, while the one who does understand is better. And of the two persons without a blemish, the one who doesn't understand is said to be worse, while the one who does understand is better. When he said this, Venerable Mahamoggallana said to him, "What is the cause, Reverend Sariputta? What is the reason why, of the two persons with a blemish, one is said to be worse and one better?" And what is the cause? What is the reason why, of the two persons without a blemish, one is said to be worse and one better? Reverends, take the case of the person who has a blemish and doesn't understand it. He can expect that you can expect that they won't generate enthusiasm, make an effort, or rouse up energy to give up that blemish. And they will die with greed, hatred, and delusion, blemished with a corrupted mind. Suppose a bronze cup was brought from a shop or a smithy, covered with dirt or stains, and the owners neither used it nor had it cleaned, but kept it in a dirty place. Over time, wouldn't that bronze cup get even dirtier and more stained? Yes, Reverend. In the same way, take the case of a person who has a blemish and doesn't understand it. They will die with a corrupted mind. Take the case of a person who has a blemish and does understand it. You can expect that they will generate enthusiasm, make an effort, and rouse up energy to give up that blemish. And they will die without greed, hatred, and delusion, unblemished with an uncorrupted mind. Suppose a bronze cup was brought from a shop or a smithy covered with dirt or stains, but the owners used it and had it cleaned and didn't keep it in a dirty place. Over time, wouldn't that bronze cup get cleaner, not brighter? So this is the bronze cup comes to the place with dirt and stains, but as they used it, the owners cleaned it. So over time, it got cleaner. Yes, Reverend. In the same way, take the case of a person who has a blemish and does understand it. You can expect that they will die with an uncorrupted mind. Take the case of a person who doesn't have a blemish but does not understand it. And I saw your question, Shay. We can get to that. Let's see what the sutta says first. You can expect that they will focus on the future of beauty, and because of that, lust will infect their mind. So, this is interesting. They don't have a blemish, or we have to, I think, maybe go back to the beginning here. Bhante Sujato had some interesting notes talking about kind of what this word means. This sutta emphasizes how even small apparent trivial defects. So this blemish is not necessarily something huge. It's not necessarily when with somebody without a blemish doesn't necessarily mean they're awakened. It also could be that they're without a blemish temporarily, I think too. So anga, blemish is used literally as a marker, a discoloration of the face, and metaphorically in the sense of a psychological defect. It stems from the root. Yeah, so I do not believe that we're talking when we're did I right, here we go. When we're talking about somebody who doesn't have a blemish and doesn't know it, we're not talking about an awakened being here. Nor are we talking about, that they are without any of the fetters or the defilements. We could think of it as maybe like a bad habit. There's lots of different things that could be seen as this blemish. Take the case of a person who doesn't have a blemish but doesn't understand it. You can expect that they will focus on the feature of beauty. And so what this is like they'll get wrapped up in their lack of blemish. Right? Like they'll engage with it in an unskillful way. They'll get wrapped up in the feature of beauty. Right? And because of that, lust will infect their mind. And they will die with greed, hate, and delusion, blemished with a corrupted mind. So obviously, we're not talking about an arahant here, right? We're talking about somebody who maybe because of past karma or because of work in this life, they have diminished their blemishes, but on account of that, they actually end up being unskillful, and it doesn't help them in the end anyway. At least in the long run, it does, but. In this one, they will die with greed, hatred, and delusion, blemish within a corrupted mind. Suppose a bronze cup was brought to the shop or a smithy, clean and bright, and they don't know what they have. And the owners neither used it nor had it cleaned, but kept it in a dirty place. Over time, wouldn't that bronze cup get dirtier and more stained? Yes, Reverend. In the same way, take the case of a person who has no blemish and does not understand it. You can expect that they will die with a corrupted mind. Take the case of a person who doesn't have a blemish and doesn't understand it. You can expect that they won't focus. And does understand it, sorry. You can expect that they won't focus on the feature of beauty, and because of that, lust won't infect their mind. And they will die without greed, hatred, and delusion, unblemished with an uncorrupted mind. Suppose a bronze cup were brought from a shop or a smithy clean and bright, and the owners used it and had it cleaned and didn't keep it in a dirty place. Over time, wouldn't that bronze cup get cleaner and brighter? Yes, Reverend. In the same way, take the case of a person who doesn't have a blemish and does understand it. You can expect that they will die with an uncorrupted mind. This is the cause, this is the reason why, of two persons with a blemish. One is said to be worse and one better. Oh, it looks like we have a bunch of people who joined us. So, hello, welcome. If this is your first time, or if you're a regular, feel free to say hello in the chat so we know you're there. And we're continuing with the suttas. If you have any questions while I'm reading, just type it in the chat. I check the chat, every minute, every couple minutes, um, just to see if there's any questions that arise as I'm reading the suttas. So feel free to ask a question. And this is the cause, this is the reason why of the two persons without a blemish, one is said to be worse and one better. In both cases, the ignorant one is worse, ignorant of the situation, that they have a blemish or that they don't have a blemish. In both cases, it is ignorance that is the worse off situation. But what is a blemish? What is blemish a term for? Oh, here we go. Reverend, blemish is a term for spheres of bad, unskillful wishes. Let me see. Unskillful desires. Yeah. Wishes, desires, unskillful wants, things that you want. It's possible that some mendicants might wish, if I commit an offense, I hope the mendicants don't find out. But it's possible that the mendicants do find out that the mendicant has committed an offense. Thinking the mendicants have found out about my offense, they get angry and bitter. And that anger and bitterness are both blemishes. There you go. It's possible that some mendicant might wish, if I committed an offense, I hope the mendicants accuse me in private, not in the middle of the Sangha. But it's possible that the mendicants do accuse that mendicant in the middle of the Sangha. It's possible that some mendicant might wish, if I commit an offense, I hope I'm accused by a counterpart, not by somebody who's not a counterpart. But it's possible that someone who is not a counterpart accuses the mendicant. It's possible that some mendicant might wish, oh, I hope the teacher will teach the mendicants by repeatedly questioning me alone, not some other mendicant. Were you one of the teacher's pets in school? Oh, I hope the teacher keeps calling on me. Ooh, 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 ooh. It's possible that some other mendicant might, the teacher repeatedly questions me, but it's possible that the teacher will teach the mendicants by repeatedly questioning some other mendicant. It's possible that some mendicant might wish, oh, I hope the mendicants will enter the village for the meal, putting me at the very front, not some other mendicant. So you're getting kind of an idea of what we mean by blemishes here in the sutta? These kind of greed, hatred, and delusion, right? Anger, hatred, lust, craving, etc. But it's possible that the mendicants will enter the village for the meal, putting some other mendicant at the very front. Most places these days that do this just cut all that out. Whoever's senior is first. It just goes by seniority. Then if you're the junior monk, you're never going to be up front, so it doesn't matter. And maybe you don't want to be anyway. It's possible that some mendicant might wish, oh, I hope I alone get the best seat, the best drinks, and the best alms food in the refectory. not some other mendicant. What is he translating as refectory? That's a very dining hall. That's a very kind of like English uh, Christian monastic kind of a word, but it does fit the dining hall, the refectory. But it's possible that some other mendicant gets the best seat, the best drink, and the best alms food in the refectory. It's possible that some mendicant might wish, I hope that I alone give the verses of appreciation after eating the refectory, not some other mendicant. But it's possible that some other mendicants give the verses of appreciation after eating in the refectory. It's possible that some mendicant might wish, oh, I hope that I might teach the Dhamma to the monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen in the monastery, not some other mendicant. But it's possible that some other mendicant teaches the Dhamma. It's possible that some mendicant might wish, oh, I hope that the monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen will honor, respect, revere, and venerate me alone, not some other mendicant. But it's possible that some other mendicant is honored, respected, revered, and venerated. It's possible that some mendicant might wish, I hope I get the nicest robes, alms food and lodgings, and medicines and supplies for the sick, not some other mendicant. This is the kind of like a very, what do they call, zero sum game, right? It's like, uh, I'm got to make sure I get all this stuff because if somebody else gets it, then there might not be good stuff for me. This is this craving, clinging mind. Right? But it's possible that some other mendicant gets the nicest robes, alms food and lodgings, and medicines and supplies for the sick. Thinking some other mendicant has got the nicest robes, alms food and lodgings, and medicines and supplies for the sick, they get angry and bitter. And that anger and bitterness are both blemishes. Blemish is a term for these spheres of bad, unskillful wishes. Suppose these spheres of bad, unskillful wishes were seen and heard to be not given up by a mendicant, even though they dwell in the wilderness and remote lodgings, eat only alms food, wander indiscriminately for alms food. Indiscriminately means that they're not like focused on, oh, I'm going to go there. They'll definitely give me some food, or I'm going to get the best food if I go there. So I'm going to go there, right? Like being picky and choosy of where you go for alms food. That's what it means by indiscriminately for alms food here. Wear rag robes, wear shabby robes. The spiritual companions don't honor, respect, revere, and venerate them. Why is that? It's because these spheres of bad, unskillful wishes are seen and heard to be not given up by that venerable. So we have this situation where, yeah, like the outward appearance, it looks like they're being a really nice, good ascetic monk, but they still have those greed, hatred, and it's very apparent. It's very outward, right? You can see that. And so they're not as respected. Suppose a bronze cup was brought to a shop or a smithy clean and bright. The owners were to prepare it with the carcass of a snake, a dog, or a human, cover it with a bronze lid, and parade it through the marketplace. When the people saw it, they'd say, my good man, what is that you're carrying like a precious treasure? So they'd open the lid and people would look inside. But as soon as they saw it, they would be filled with loathing, revulsion, and disgust. Not even those who were hungry wanted to eat it, let alone those who had eaten. In the same way, when these spheres of bad, unskillful wishes are seen and heard to be not given up by a mendicant, their spiritual companions don't honor, respect, revere, and venerate them. Why is that? It's because these spheres of bad, unskillful wishes are seen and heard to be not given up by the venerable. Suppose these spheres of bad, unskillful wishes are seen and heard to be given up by the mendicant, even though they dwell within a village. Seen and heard. Okay. Even though they dwell within a village, accepting invitations to a meal, meaning that people invite you to come to their house to eat, um, which is very, very common in the Buddhist world today. Um, Only like forest monks don't accept that. Like Bhante Gunaratana, I think once a year we went to a house, Dhamma. But mostly in the Buddhist world, it's very, very common. But it's typically not something um, that like an ascetic forest monk would do. Um, and this is why it's being said here that, so we have somebody who these unskillful blemishes are seen to have been given up, but wait, they're not like being all ascetic in the forest. They dwell in a village. They accept invitations to a meal and wear robes offered by householders. Their spiritual companions honor, respect, revere, and venerate them. Why is that? It's because these spheres of bad, unskillful wishes are seen and heard to be given up by the venerable. Suppose a bronze cup was brought from a shop or a smithy clean and bright. The owners were to prepare it with boiled fine rice, with dark grains picked out and served with many soups and sauces, cover it with a bronze lid and parade it through the marketplace. When people saw it, they'd say, "My good man, what is it that you're carrying like a precious treasure?" So they'd open the lid for people to look inside, and as soon as they saw it, they were filled with liking, attraction, and relish. Even though those who had eaten wanted to eat it, even those who had eaten wanted to eat it, let alone those who were hungry. In the same way, when these spheres of bad, unskillful wishes are seen and heard to be given up by a mendicant, their spiritual companions honor, respect, revere, and venerate them. Why is that? It's because these spheres of bad, unskillful wishes are seen and heard to be given up by the venerable. When he said this, Venerable Mahamoggallana said to him, "Reverend Sariputta, a simile strikes me." "Then speak as you feel inspired," said Sariputta. "Reverend, this one time I was staying right here in Rajagaha, the mountain fold. Then I robed up in the morning, taking my bowl and robe, entered Rajagaha for alms. Now at that time, Samiti, the Wainwrights, Samiti of the Wainwrights was planning the rim of a chariot wheel. The Ajivaka ascetic Panduputta, who was formerly of the Wainwrights, was standing by. And this thought came to his mind. Oh, I hope Samiti the Wainwright planes out the crooks, bends and flaws in this rim. Oh, planes out the crooks, bends, and flaws in this rim. Then the rim will be rid of crooks, bends, and flaws, pure and consolidated in the core. And Samiti planed out the flaws in the rim just as Panduputta thought. Then Panduputta expresses gladness. He plains like he knows my heart with his heart. In the same way, there are those faithless people who went forth from the lay life to homelessness, not out of faith, but to earn a livelihood. They're devious, deceitful, and sneaky. They're restless, insolent, fickle, scurrilous, and loose-tongued. They do not guard their sense doors or eat in moderation, and they are not dedicated to wakefulness. They don't care about the ascetic life, and they don't keenly respect the training. They're indulgent and slack, leaders and backsliding, neglecting seclusion, lazy and lacking energy. They're unmindful, lacking situational awareness and immersion, with straying minds, witless and idiotic. Venerable Sariputta plains their faults with this exposition of the teaching as if he knows my heart with his heart. But there are those gentlemen who went forth from the lay life to homelessness out of faith. They're not devious, deceitful, and sneaky. They're not restless or insolent, fickle or scurrilous and loose tongued. They guard their sense doors and eat in moderation, and they are dedicated to wakefulness. They care about the ascetic life and keenly respect the training. They're not indulgent or slack, nor are they leaders in backsliding, neglecting seclusion. They're energetic and determined. They're mindful with situational awareness, immersion, and unified mind. Wise and clever, hearing this exposition of the teaching from Venerable Sariputta, they drink it up and devour it, as it were, and in speech and thought they say, "It's good, sirs, that he draws his spiritual companions away from the unskillful and establishes them in the skillful." Suppose there was a woman or a man who was young, youthful, and fond of adornments, and had bathed their head, presented with garlands of lotuses and jasmine or liana flowers. They would take them in both hands and place them on the crown of the head. In the same way, those gentlemen who went forth from the lay life to homelessness out of faith say, "It's good, sirs, that he draws his spiritual companions away from the unskillful and establishes them in the skillful." And so these two spiritual giants agreed with each other's fine words. All right. So, do we have any questions? Anything that arises regarding this sutta or anything? Any questions? We have, about 15 minutes or so if we need it. Maybe we'll do some sutta roulette. Yes, it is a great sutta, Rick, for sure. All right. So, why don't we do one sutta roulette? Let's choose the Anguttara Nikaya. Oh, all of a sudden I see comments. Okay. Karina says the corpse of the snake dog in person only occurred two other times. It's always in conjunction with looking at your own. Yes. Yeah. All right. Sutta roulette in 3, 2, 1. Type a number between 1 and 11. Rick comes in with 5. All right. In 3, 2, 1, a number between 1 and 50. Uh, 47. All right. So we are now going to go to Anguttara Nikaya number 5. So the book of fives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the first 50, because we had 47. The chapter with King Munda. Oh, getting rich. All right, let's see. 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. Kinds of spiritual wealth. Let's see. Mendicants. There are these 5 kinds of wealth. What 5? The wealth of faith, ethics, learning, generosity, and wisdom. And what is the wealth of faith? It's when a noble disciple has faith in the realized one's awakening. That blessed one is perfected, a fully awakened Buddha, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, holy knower of the world, supreme trainer for those who wish to train, teacher of gods and humans, awakened and blessed. This is called the wealth of faith. And what is the wealth of ethics? It's when a noble disciple doesn't kill living creatures, steal, commit sexual misconduct, lie, or consume beer, wine, and liquor intoxicants. This is called the wealth of ethics. And what is the wealth of learning? It's when a noble disciple is very learned, remembering and keeping what they've learned. These teachings are good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, meaningful and well phrased, describing a spiritual practice that's totally full and pure. They are very learned in such teachings, remembering them, reciting them, mentally scrutinizing them, and comprehending them theoretically. This is called the wealth of learning. And wait. And what is the wealth of generosity? It's when a noble disciple lives at home, rid of the stain of stinginess, freely generous, open handed, loving to let go, committed to charity, loving to give and to share. Let's see, loving to let go. As you know, how I talk about the beginning of the Buddhist practice is letting go. And that's dana. I wanted to see. Yeah, it doesn't. No, that wouldn't be it. I don't know. All right, anyway. This is called the wealth of generosity. And what is the wealth of wisdom? It's when a noble disciple is wise, they have the wisdom of arising and passing away, which is noble, penetrative, and leads to the complete ending of suffering. This is called the wealth of wisdom. These are the 5 kinds of wealth. Whoever has faith in the realized one, unwavering and well grounded, whose ethical conduct is good, praised, and loved by the noble ones, who has confidence in the Sangha and correct view, they're said to be prosperous. Their life is not in vain. So let the wise devote themselves to faith, ethical behavior, confidence, and insight into the teaching. Remember the instructions of the Buddhas. All right. Let's read some Dhammapada as we come close to the end. The Buddha. By what track can you trace that trackless Buddha of limitless range, whose victory does nothing can undo, whom none of the vanquished defilements can ever pursue? By what track can you trace that trackless Buddha of limitless range, in whom exists no longer the entangling and embroiling craving that perpetuates becoming? Those wise ones who are devoted to meditation and who delight in the calm of renunciation, such mindful ones, supreme Buddhas, even the gods hold dear. Hard is it to be born a man, hard is the life of mortals, hard is it to gain the opportunity of hearing the sublime truth, and hard to encounter is the arising of the Buddha. To avoid all evil, to cultivate the good, and to cleanse one's mind. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas. Enduring patience is the highest austerity. Nibbana is supreme, say the Buddhas. He is not a true monk who harms others, nor a true renunciant who oppresses others. Not despising, not harming, restrained according to the moral code, moderating in food, dwelling in solitude, devotion to meditation. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. There is no satisfying sensual desires, even with the rain of gold coins, for sensual pleasures gives little satisfaction and much pain. Having understood this, the wise man finds no delight even in heavenly pleasures. The disciple of the Supreme Buddha delights in the destruction of craving. Driven only by fear, do men go for refuge to many places, to hills, woods, groves, trees, and shrines. Such indeed is no safe refuge. Such is not the refuge supreme. Not by resorting to such a refuge is one released from all suffering. He who has gone for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha penetrates with transcendental wisdom the Four Noble Truths: suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the Noble Eightfold Path that leads to sufferings, the cessation of suffering. This indeed is the safe refuge. This is the refuge supreme. Having gone to such a refuge, one is released from all suffering. Hard to find is the thoroughbred man. He is not born everywhere. Where such a wise man is born, that clan thrives happily. Blessed is the birth of the Buddhas. Blessed is the enunciation of the sacred teaching. Blessed is the harmony of the order. And blessed is the spiritual pursuit of the united truth seekers. He who reveres those worthy of reverence, the Buddhas and their disciples, who have transcended all obstacles and passed beyond the realm of sorrow and lamentation, he who reveres such peaceful and fearless ones, his merit none can compute by any measure. All right. So, in our last couple minutes together, do we have any final questions, comments, anything to discuss? Everything is quiet. Very good. All right, friends. So if you are joining for the first time and you'd like to find out more about information about myself and my organization, Maggaseka, you can go to the website listed on the screen, maggaseka.org, MAGGASEKHA.org. This is the home headquarters for all information, everything that I want people to know about, I post there. I mean, I also post on Facebook and various other places as well, but that is the place. That's my headquarters. That's where everything is, articles, links, etc. So that's the place to be. Let's share screen and do our sharing of merits. All right. Dukkha patta chane dukkha, bhaya patta chane bhaya, soka patta chane soka, honta sabbe pipaniyo, etavata cha mehi, sampatang punya sampatang, sabbe deva anumodantu, sabba sampatti siddhya, akasata cha bhumata, deva naga mahidika, punyang tang anumoditva, charang rakantu sasanang. May the suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit of ours that we've thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas, nagas, and yakas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddhist dispensation. Okay, friends. So we have come to the end of another Dhammapalooza. And I wish you Sukhi Hotu. May you be happy and at ease. Practice well and be well, and may you have a spiritually successful and peaceful practice until we meet again, which could be tomorrow morning for a morning monastery experience, which continues Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. New York time. For those of you who don't know morning monastery experience, it is literally in the name. It is the experience you would get at a typical monastery, morning chanting, puja, precepts, little Dhamma talk, etc. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. So you're welcome to join us there, or perhaps on Insight Timer on Saturday afternoons when I have my session, or when we read suttas every Sunday on our Discord community, or perhaps next Monday if I'm alive for another Dhammapalooza. Well, have a good week. Practice well.